is Julie, and I am back with the end of my sample September / sample slim down. So if you have not already watched my intro and first update, I will link that in this region. And if you want to take a second, go watch that first and then come on back, that would be fine. I'm going to show you everything that I used up since that last update, which was, I believe, on like the 8th of September. I'm filming this on the 29th of September, so I've had a little bit of time. And I have a whole lot more samples to show you. I'm going to give you a quick overview of what I've used and give you my thoughts, whether or not I'd repurchase, if it was something that I liked or not. So that is the general gist of things. I'm not going to go back over what I did use in the first update, but again, you can go back to that video and check it out if you would like to. And I will give you a total at the end of the video with the full number of products that I used up, as well as like a breakdown into categories of how many of each category I used up in the month. But my goal was to use as many of my foil packets and little tiny samples of makeup as I could during the month of September to try to slim down what I had in my storage. And I found that I didn't get through as much as I wanted to. I still got through a lot, but I do want to continue doing this and putting some samples into my everyday makeup bag as a way to continue to make sure they don't build up too much. So I'm going to start with lotions. I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these Fat Girl Slim Arm Candy Arm Perfecting Creams, and it's not like horrendous. I used it on my legs a lot at the beginning of the month, and at the end I did use it on my arms, but it did leave like a film. I don't know how much tightening it actually did. It smelled good, but it did ball up on my skin, so that was kind of gross and why I didn't want to wear it where somebody could like see it more. But I went through 5 of these. I could have gone through more. I think I still have a couple left, but it's just, I didn't like using it, so I didn't use, you know, as many as I probably could have. And then I used up a Hemp's Body Pomegranate Herbal Body Moisturizer. This I used one time only. I did my arms and my legs all at once one night after a shower, and it smelled really good, and it did, you know, okay. This is 100% vegan, gluten-free, paraben-free, THC-free, healthy, hempy lotion. I would probably repurchase this. I did like it. I don't know the price point on it, and I have so many lotions I probably won't have to for a while, but it was good. That was my lotions, and that was a total of 6. Only one eye primer this time because there was so much in this, guys. So this is the original Urban Decay primer potion, and I am currently using Eden, but it wasn't 100% done, so I didn't put it in with this. And I was still trying to like alternate between using my Painterly paint pot so that my Project Pan would continue to progress too. So between them, I only got this one done for eye primers. Then I will do hair care because I only have a few products, and this is the Sutra Moroccan Hair Serum, sulfate free and organic. So this was just a hair serum that I put on after my shower as kind of like a extra conditioning for my ends. Again, my hair is clearly color treated, so my ends are kind of dry and brittle, so I use this on the ends of my hair, and it did pretty well. And then I have a couple of these Briogeo, Don't Repair, that's not what it is, Don't Despair, Repair deep conditioning masks. I used both of these the same night. I put both of these, like all of it, into my hair and used it as a hair mask. I let it sit for a couple hours while I did some editing and some writing and some different things, and then washed it out and just used it as like a deep mask, and it worked pretty well. Again, I have a ton of like deep conditioning masks, but these worked well, and if the price point was okay on these and I ran out of all my other ones, I would try these ones again. They did pretty well. So that was my 3 hair products. And then I've got a face mask. I used my Ultra Repair Instant Oatmeal Face Mask from First Aid Beauty. This is just a 10-minute oatmeal hydrating face mask. I was not a fan of this. It did leave my skin feeling really hydrated, but it also left my skin feeling like it hadn't come all the way off. It felt really heavy and thick on my skin, and no matter how much I like washed it off, I felt like I had to use cleansers again to really truly get it off, and then I was like drying my skin back out again with cleansers. I didn't hate it, but it's definitely not one that I would purchase. And then I used the Coats, just a facial sunscreen, and this one was tinted, but it was fine. It was a one-time use sunscreen with a tint to it, and I didn't notice that it did anything weird with my foundation. It worked fine with the foundations that I put on under it, or over it rather. Get it together, Julie. So it was okay. Amore Pacific. This is an intense vitalizing eye essence. And this was just an under eye brightening serum, and it was fine. I didn't notice anything that made me say like, oh my gosh, my skin looks so much better the next morning. I have to go out and get this. But I love trying out new eye serums, and I had no problem using it, but it wasn't anything that like wowed me to the point where I have to run out and grab this for myself. But I'm glad I tried it. And then I have a Promise Organic Ultra Moisturizing Argan Cream Facial Lotion with olive oil. This is 100% natural, cruelty-free, all that other great good stuff. This one I got in, I want to say in Ipsy. I'm not sure if it was Ipsy or Birchbox, but one of those subscription samples. This lasted me a really good while, and I just actually finished it up last night, and it worked really, really well. It smelled great, left my skin feeling really hydrated. I actually really did enjoy it. Again, I have a ton of facial moisturizers, so I won't have to repurchase, but if and when I do, this is one that I would actually probably go back to in terms of just straight moisture. It didn't do anything else, so it's not like a multitasking, wrinkle reducing, anything like that. It's just strictly for moisture. So maybe in the winter to have, just to like put like hydration back into your skin. Yeah, for what it was, it did work really well. So that was 4 face products. Let's do perfumes. I did not get through as many as I hoped I would, which was a bit of a bummer, but I am glad to get through what I did. And I think the problem with the perfumes was that all of them were really good, and the staying power on them was actually really great. So I didn't have to spray again. Like, I put one on this morning to actually finish up one of these, and it's still there. It still smells great. So I didn't have to reapply it. It's not something that came off as I washed my hands or went through the day where I had to spritz it again. They all kind of lasted, so it took a while to get through them. But the one that I finished up this morning was the Clean Reserve. This one was in Blonde Rose, and I actually really, really liked this. The staying power on this is insane, and it just smelled great. I really, really enjoyed it, and it did come with like a sprayer, which I always appreciate on my samples. I think actually all these samples had sprayers, which was why I went to these before the other like stopper ones. So now I've got all those left to have to deal with. But anyway, I loved this, and if I ever ran out of perfumes, which I don't see happening anytime soon, I would definitely consider purchasing this because it was awesome. And then I have Prada's Candy, again with a sprayer, and this is one that I thought I was going to absolutely love because I'm absolutely obsessed with Amber by Prada, and this one had really great, you know, reviews. People were saying amazing things about it. I liked it. I didn't not like it, but I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to. But I'm really glad that I got to try the sample, because otherwise I probably would have gone and just purchased the full size. And then I have 2 of the My Philosophy perfumes. So these came in like a little duo set. This one is Truthful and this one is Giving. Truthful was, oh my gosh, so good. I loved Truthful. I miss these. I would absolutely repurchase these. These were so, so good. That's 4 perfumes down. Now let's jump into face primers. I did finish up my Smashbox. This is my Photo Finish Primer, and I'm pretty sure this was also in my Project Pan and Pan That palette for like the next part of the year. So I'm gonna have to put it into that empties as well if it was. This being a little bit larger kept me from getting to some of the other packets that I wish I would have gotten to, but I was glad to kind of move this out as well. And then I did still use up 3 of the packets of the Smashbox Photo Finish Primer, and these probably gave me 3 or 4 uses each. So, I mean, it was hard to kind of really run through these because of how long they did last. I don't hate it. It works fine. And then I have a Becca Backlight Priming Filter. This lasted me about 3 uses, and I ended up using this actually mixed in with the foundations that I was trying out, just to kind of, you know, give me a little bit more of a dewy, glowy finish, because I do like this mixed in with foundations as well. I don't love it as much as an actual base and primer. For me, sometimes it can interact with different foundations, especially because I was trying so many different ones. I didn't want to have to worry about that, so I would just mix it in with the actual foundation on the back of my hand and then apply it, and that worked a little bit better for me. And then I have 2 of the Benefit Porefessional. This was the first time I had used the Porefessional. I got, I think, 2 days use out of both of these, and then they dried up too much to continue to use after the second day. just because of the nature of these little sample flaps. It's not my favorite pore filler. The hype on this is like ridiculous. It actually didn't sit well with like the oils on my nose and it broke up. So I used that only in this, you know, general area, and then I used the Smashbox everywhere else. And then I would find that my foundation was breaking up around my nose. I'm glad I got to try it because there's a part of me that hears the buzz about these kinds of products, and then when you can't try them or you don't purchase from that company, you don't know and you can't compare it to things, especially when you're making makeup videos. It's hard to kind of limit the products that you use. So I was glad to be able to try the samples and know that it doesn't work for me anyway. So 7 face primers altogether. Let's do concealers, and my concealer samples were all the YSL Touche Éclat. I kind of like split them up so that I could use them all. I had 2 of the number 2s, which were definitely lighter and more pink tone for underneath my eyes. I had 1 number 1 and I had 2 of the 4.5s. The 1 and the 2 I could use underneath my eyes to either brighten or kind of color correct, although it didn't do a great job at either one of those. The coverage on this is so thin, I just don't get it. And as far as color correcting, it didn't do anything. For brightening, it did a little bit of something, but not as much as some other concealers that I would probably use or brightening products that I would use. But what are you gonna do? I tried them at least. I got a couple uses out of each of these little packets. And then the 4.5s I used, because it was so dark, I used the 4.5s to darken up some of the foundation samples that didn't work for me because they were too light. So I was able to use this to mix in with those and kind of darken up the foundation so it matched me a little bit better. So 4 of the little concealer packet things I used. BB creams and foundations, I used 4. I used the Stila Stay All Day 10-in-1 HD Illuminating Beauty Balm with Broad Spectrum SPF 30. It worked fine. It was a very dewy, glowy, you know, BB cream. It wasn't something that gave ridiculous amounts of coverage, but for my no makeup days where I really just did eyes and a lip and not a full face, this worked really, really well. It's not something that I'm going to repurchase, but I'm glad I tried it. And then I used my Too Faced Tinted Beauty Balm, and this was supposed to tint, prime, prevent, nourish, protect, and this was in the shade Nude Glow, which was the 3rd darkest. I think there's only 4 shades of this, so it was like almost the darkest shade. And it was fine. I got a very, very sheer application of this all over my face, but it didn't quite cover everything. So I think I actually used a little bit of the Smashbox. This was the Smashbox Camera Ready CC cream with SPF 30, and this was also for dark spot correcting. So I mixed this with this for one day, and then the next day I wore just this. So I got almost like 2 uses out of this, but this was in light. So this one was a little bit too dark, or it was darker, so that mixed with this worked really well. And then this one, to darken up, I used the Touche Éclat to darken that one. It was hard to tell what really truly worked for you and what didn't because you're mixing so many different new products, but all in all, this one was not great enough to impress me to make me want to buy it. But again, I had to mix it with something else, so it's hard to tell how this would have really worked just solely on its own. And then this one lasted forever. There was so much in this, which I was really surprised about because all the other samples were so tiny. But this one did really well, and actually the coverage on this was great. So I actually can't say anything bad about this. I enjoyed it. Then I have a NARS Sheer Glow sample that I got at Sephora, and this was in the shade Santa Fe. When I went a while ago to get color match for this, I was in between colors, and they gave me this one and a different one. I forget what that shade was, but I used that a while ago. So I only had this one, and this one was darker at the time than I was. So this worked great for me actually during the summer. The one problem was I'd had it for a little while, so like around the sides and corners it was just getting a little bit dried up. So I stirred it back up, but I was only able to get, I think, 2 uses out of this, and then the rest was just a little bit too like gunky to use. I probably shouldn't have used it at all, but I did. So that was 1, 2, 3, 4 foundations slash BB creams, and that is everything that I used. I have so many more samples that I'm in the middle of using, but I haven't finished yet, so I couldn't include them. So all in all, for this update, I used 33 products. For my first update slash introduction that I'll, again, link up here, I used 14 products, which brings my total all together to 47 items. And I'm just gonna look down at my paper, but I had 3 mascaras, 8 face primers, 7 foundations, 3 hair care products, 2 eye primers, 7 skincare products, 7 lotions, 4 perfumes, 5 concealers, 1 facial cleanser, and 1 powder foundation sample. So that's 47 items that are no longer cluttering my drawers waiting to be used, and I'm really excited about that, especially because I did count things like this and like this that come from Ipsy and Birchbox, and I'm getting so many of those in every month. Between Birchbox, Ipsy, and Play by Sephora, I'm getting a lot of these kinds of sizes, so I definitely want to be moving them out of my collection in a timely fashion so that as more come in, I'm not accumulating a giant mountain of samples again. So I think I'm going to try to incorporate these into my daily/weekly makeup routines so that I can continue to use these up. So these will show up in empties videos in the future. You'll be seeing a whole lot more of these sample size products because I do want to continue to use them up. But I'm really excited that in the month of September, I used 47 sample products, and I'm proud of that for my first time joining a tag like this and doing this challenge. I'll insert a picture of what all of my samples look like in this region. If there's any products that you're wondering what my thoughts are on, go ahead and leave a comment in the comment section down below, and I'll let you know whether or not I've tried it, and maybe I'll pick it up so I could test it out for you guys. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. That has been my sample September update/finale. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you guys in my next video. I am going to be doing... That's not a word, Julie.